Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the free, and the home of the brave. Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to remain the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. The stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the free, and the home of the
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media. In the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd, cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, JovanHuttonPulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, JovanHuttonPulitzer.
Hey there, folks. Jovan Hutton-Pulitzer. Welcome to the program, Cut the Crap. This is a special edition. When I talk about crap, weird name for a program, C-R-A-P. It stands for Culture, Race, and American Politics. Because I believe when culture, race, and American politics are combined, everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Many times it comes down to corporate greed. This program, this special program, we're going to be talking about the beef industry. Is it beef or is it just bull S? And how BS, how corporate greed actually has fed us a bunch of bull. And I'm going to give you the lowdown on the infected truth of the meat and the box meat industry. That the meat industry just does not want you to know. Today's program is going to be exceptionally enlightening. Especially in a time when we're deathly afraid of hospitals, that our hospitals may not even have our best interests anymore. Our government seems to be selling us out, if not flat out killing us. Mandates, all this stuff that's going on. Folks, share this program right now. Absolutely share it right now. This is a very important program because, you know, our food supply is in danger. I believe that. Many of you believe that. Let's just reminisce on some of the programs I've done over the last few months. We're now concerned with our food supply because they're now giving these mRNA shots to our food supply. We see our food supply going up in smoke. We see cattle just falling over by the thousands like they did in Kansas. Many are wondering, are they flat out destroying our food supply? Are they experimenting on our food supply? There's some that believe the reason they're vaccinating our chickens now, or making this alarmism about bird flu and have one bird display some symptoms and then they go into the operation and basically slaughter all 10 million birds. Is it to create a panic so they can convince farmers or whatever to start injecting our food supply with vaccines that the animals don't need? What you need to know is many of our animals for years. It's been an ongoing process since before Donald J. Trump came into office, that they started giving interesting vaccines to our food supply. I want to talk specifically about beef today. Who does not love an incredible piece of steak, grilled, whether it be a filet or a ribeye or a sirloin, whatever the case may be? Have you ever taken a look at the cattle operation in the United States? Now, I grew up with a family that was into ranching. It was one of the best scenarios of controlling your food supply, but our country, our people have moved away from that. I'm going to show you some of that this evening that I think you need to pay attention to. Please do me a favor, share this program. This is an eye-opening program. A few things you need to know. I was surprised at what we thought we were getting in the way of beef prices in the United States was really a good deal. You would think that our country is benefiting from it. But in this society of woke corporate greed, we find out not only are we not benefiting from it the way that we should as Americans, but a lot of our beef is not even being used in our country. It's being shipped out to other countries. And what they're selling us over the counter that we now have been brainwashed into thinking passes for good beef. Well, if you're like me, you might have noticed over the last many years, call it a double handful of years, that it seems like our steaks just keep on getting tougher and tougher. And you know what I found when we go to the store, Walmart, might be your grocery store, and you buy a cut of meat, throw it out on the grill. I think it's funny that we take the blame if the steak or whatever doesn't come out right. And it's probably because you've never been taught what beef is really supposed to be. Just like going from what our parents drink, Folgers coffee, to a really good whole bean ground coffee. It's night and day difference. You know that. So let's kind of set some standards. Most of our animals that go into our meat production in the United States, besides being vaccinated, are fed hormones to make them grow really fast. They have a steady diet of antibiotics because their conditions that they're raised on are so horrific that the cattle, chickens, etc., have diseases, so they have to feed them antibiotics. All of that passes to us when we consume them. I remember years ago about a study in Italy about growth hormones being unregulated there given to beef, and they were having an outbreak of girls 8 years old beginning their menses at 8 years old. They attributed it to all the hormones in the beef that at the time was unregulated there. So you can admit we have some horrible problems. What's more important is, I think, as I've learned through this, that you and I have been sacrificed. We have been sacrificed to maximize profit, get a lesser quality product, be dumbed down about our food supply, and then now we're finding out some of this grass-fed stuff, which I'm going to share with you, and some of this natural and organic stuff is this total, absolute horse hockey. So to begin the program tonight, you might want to take a pen and paper and write this down. I'm going to share a video for you, kind of set the premise for this evening's educational program. Here is the difference you probably never knew about the beef supply in the United States of America.
There are 8 grades of beef designated by the USDA, and there's one common factor that determines grade quality: the amount of marbling in the meat. Simply stated, the more marbling, the higher the grade. The 3 lowest grades are utility, cutter, and canner. These grades may be completely devoid of marbling and often come from older animals. They're typically reserved for making products like hot dogs and other processed meats. You'll never find meat in a supermarket labeled as utility, cutter, or canner grades because they're not palatable as straight cuts. The next grades are USDA Standard and USDA Commercial. Standard and commercial grades have no marbling and are considerably less tender than higher grades. When sold in the retail market, they typically go ungraded or are labeled under the store brand name and sold at very low prices. These grades are only suitable for stew and slow cooker recipes that will make them less tough. You would never consider grilling or frying these grades because it would result in dry, tough, hard-to-eat meat. You'd lose a lot of friends serving this at a barbecue. Next is USDA Select. Select beef is widely available in the retail market, but it is almost never labeled as USDA Select. USDA Select has slight marbling, but not much. It's a much leaner grade than USDA Choice and tends to be less tender and less juicy with less flavor. You wouldn't want to grill or fry this meat as it would be much too dry. You can cook USDA Select meats with moist heat methods like stewing, steaming, and poaching, or using a slow cooker. This helps break down tough fibers that are usually present in meat that has been graded Select. If you purchase meat at a grocery store and it has no grade designation, it's most likely USDA Select. If it were a higher grade of meat, say USDA Choice, the grocery store would proudly label it as USDA Choice. Speaking of USDA Choice accounts for roughly 50% of all graded beef. USDA Choice costs more, but is widely available to consumers in supermarkets and restaurants. If beef has been graded USDA Choice, the words USDA Choice will almost always appear on the label. Choice has a good amount of marbling, although less than USDA Prime. It can be cooked with almost any cooking method. You can typically grill, fry, roast, or bake this beef, as well as stew it or braise it without causing excessive dryness. USDA Choice is an excellent economic alternative to the next and highest grade of meat, USDA Prime, because USDA Prime can be quite expensive. It's also important to note that USDA Choice can be divided into two subgrades, Low Choice and High Choice. High Choice has the most marbling and is very close to the quality of USDA Prime in flavor and tenderness. USDA Prime is the highest grade of beef because it has the most marbling. There's simply nothing better. Beef that grades USDA Prime is very tender, very juicy, and full of flavor. USDA Prime is also very rare. Only about 9% of all graded beef will grade Prime. That's why it is very expensive. USDA Prime is usually reserved for high-end dining establishments. A USDA Prime steak at a fine restaurant in New York City, Chicago, or Los Angeles will cost between $85 to $95 a pound. People who can afford it will gladly pay that for a prime steak. That's because its exquisite tenderness and juicy flavor make it an absolutely delightful eating experience. But because USDA Prime is so rare and so expensive, many people have never tasted a USDA Prime steak. In summary, quality is all about marbling. The higher the percentage of marbling, the higher the grade, because it's marbling that produces tenderness, juiciness, and the most flavor.
So there's your education on beef. Now, if you've ever gone to a high-end restaurant and you have had a true prime, USAD prime steak, it'll be $85 to $95 a pound, but you're probably talking for the whole plate. You know, when it's plated and stuff, you're probably talking $150 or north. Now, if you've ever had one, yes, it will absolutely blow your socks off. I'm going to give you an education of what you're seeing in the store and what we've really been sold. But I want to keep in mind a few things. Is we know our food supply in the United States of America is under attack. We know, just as my own opinion, that the government might be pulling some shady business. We know as consumers, not only are we taken advantage of, but it's our money that funds this woke system that keeps us suppressed and keeps these agendas pushed on every one of us. This is one of the things that has made America rapidly decline because we're the economic engine. We're what consumes it. And if you can not teach us what we really should be eating or really should be having, well, then we tend to pay a lot and in exchange get a little. Now, all of us have always been trying to eat better. And that's why there's been a grass-fed beef craze across the United States of America. It, too, might not even be what you think at all. And when you think about the high use of hormones and antibiotics, you should be concerned about what's going in your body. I do have to wonder, myself, with the massive amount of hormones that are poured into our food supply, especially beef, is this part of what's contributing to our precious children being chemically unbalanced, being out of whack, being a boy but believing they're a girl, or a girl that believes they're a little boy? Have we done this to ourselves by not paying attention? Therefore, the goal of my program tonight is to get you to pay attention. Now, I've been getting you primed for this for a while. I've been trying to show you that in the United States of America, we have 3 votes. We have our ballot vote, which we're working very hard on getting fixed. We have our time vote. Our eyeballs are mine. That's what we're doing right here, sharing learning and education for our benefit, not mindlessly just watching useless TV. That's trying to sell us their agendas. And then last, we have our dollars vote. This is where we win. Now, what if you, as a consumer, could not only get, high choice or prime beef at the same price that you're used to paying for stuff in the grocery stores of poor quality, but what at the same time in doing it, you could not only help save America from socialism, but what if you even did it and referred it to your friends and actually you ended up, paying for your own grocery supply every month? Did you know right now in the United States of America, the low end on the grocery bill right now in the United States is about $238. That's the really, really, really small end, $268. The true average in the United States of America from coast to coast is about $876 a month to $1,340 a month in your grocery bill. A large chunk of that is your beef supply, and it is a poor supply. But imagine if you could do something that not only would help America and save it from socialism and benefit America and benefit your family and be known and trusted, but if you even had the opportunity where if you wanted to do a little work that you actually ended up, paying for your own food supply by just referring it to friends. We've been telling you about this for a while, so I want to go back. Our economy has pushed every one of our consumer products together. Now, consumable products are the things that you buy and consume every day. It could be anything from your toothbrush, toothpaste or shampoos or detergents or whatever. But one of the mainstays is your grocery bill. So one of the things we have to do for America is not only secure our food supply, but we have to make sure that our food supply is not only safe, but it's not killing us, and it's not tainting the bodies of our young children. Let me remind you of how this big push-pull works, which the government is in on. They pushed it to 4 large companies that control $22 trillion in our retirement savings, pensions, etc. Let me remind you of this. Let me just refresh your memory. 4. Yes, 4. 4 things are killing America. Critical race theory, teaching our children racism is based on the color of your skin. Black Lives Matter is just a cover for introducing Marxism. The trans agenda, making our boys into girls and our girls into boys, and the illegal invasion of our borders. 4. Yep, 4. 4 mega companies control the big money funnel. These 4 companies are investing in Black Lives Matter, critical race theories, and the things that are killing America. They control $22 trillion, and it's your money. If you started counting that money, $1 at a time, every 1 second, starting right now, you'd be done in 697,615 years. That's how much power they have over us, folks. How do we save America? It's easy. Take your money back. Go to MakeWokeGoBroke.click and learn how. Take your money back. Go to MakeWokeGoBroke.click. Take your money back, folks. It's your money. Go to MakeWokeGoBroke.click and learn how to save America from socialism. Your purchases are murdering America. Most people swear they love America, yet they are killing America one shopping cart at a time. 4 woke mega funds control $22 trillion, and they pushed all the brands into just 11 companies. Let's just look at lotions, hand cream, soaps, and detergents. When you spend your money and you go shopping here, that money goes right out the door, and as it's distributed and broken apart, it goes into that dark, ugly, icky funnel of money that funnels to impacting America negatively. Your money funds Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, Antifa, the trans agenda. You have to make a choice to save America, folks. Make wokegobroke.click will teach you. Quit pumping your money into these woke companies. You have to choose to save America. Do it now. Go to makewokegobroke.click. Makewokegobroke.click. Do it now. Okay, folks, welcome back. I'm talking about beef or just BS, how corporate greed has fed us a bunch of bull. And we're going to be talking about the infected truth of meat and the box meat industry that they don't want you to know. Folks, I would suggest you share this program. So let's get started here. Did you know that when an animal at these ranches and or farms, breeding facilities, get colds, whatever the case may be, and need antibiotics, they literally get pumped antibiotics to keep them stable and to keep them healthy, many times just really quick to get them to the market. Most beef, like you saw in that video, in the United States of America, basically goes from the ranch. They're picked up in big trucks. They go to a slaughterhouse. The slaughter just slaughters them, quick packages them, and sends them to the store. Now, you have been watching what's been going on with some of the big companies like Walmart, etc. You know they use products like meat glues. Yeah, look it up, meat glue, to try to make these steaks and stuff stick together or have some marbling. You probably experienced it with chicken, or shrimp is the worst one about it. Think about it. They'll pump them with fluids and you think you're buying something nice and plump, but by the time you cook it, it's gone. This is part of the racket that has been forced upon us. Now let's think about, if we could control our own food supply, you and I know it, if we could grow our own food, and we still did that, then we actually have food security. Our nation is lacking very much in food security. You also see all these plants shutting down. You see all this transportation shutting down. And to complicate it, think about what is fed in hormones and antibiotics. But you know and I know, if we controlled our food supply, we're much better off. Now, how do you control your food supply? Well, can you actually be the rancher itself? Could you be the rancher? Could you be the processor? And could you do it with a genetically controlled herd in the right way? That's the key. See, think about it. Let's say for some reason, family member passed away, God forbid, leaves you a 10-acre patch of farmland. You decide, I'm going to go buy a cow and I'm going to raise my own grass-fed beef. You go buy you a cow, you get you a bull, you borrow a bull, whatever it is, and boom, you make sure that you don't feed any antibiotics to your cow. God forbid it gets sick. And you're not doing any hormones, and you're going to raise grass-fed beef. Now, many of you have learned, and the industry has learned, by the way, that when people end up buying grass-fed beef, they're usually good for about one recurring purchase. And the reason is, grass-fed is literally devoid in many ways of the marbling and the fat in the meat, because we've been told that fat was bad, which we now know was wrong, and we need it. We need it for our brain and fuel supply. And so we're getting really, really, really tufts of meat that are tainted. But even if you went and bought that heifer and had her bred, have you ever thought about where that cow came from? See, just because you picked it up and had it bred and it had a calf on your land, or you did it with a few buddies and you raised one, you don't really know where that calf or bull, right? Heifer, steer, you don't really know where it came from. You really only kind of know one generation. So yeah, you might plan not to use antibiotics, and you might certainly plan not to use hormones. And that calf comes out. Does that mean that calf's clean? Not at all. Just like a parent, a mother, can transfer drug abuse, alcohol abuse to a human baby, it's the same way in anything in the life cycle there is. You're going to get past these things by the breeding stock. So if the mother has been fed dangerous or questionable vaccines, or if the mother has been pumped with a tremendous amount of antibiotics or growth hormones, your calf is going to hit the ground with those in its body. Hopefully you're going to let it milk off the cow. It's going to transfer right to that baby. So even if you decided you wanted your own beef supply, it would take an incredible time to make sure you had a controlled herd. So let's talk about if this was the best situation of all. If we could wave a magic wand and we wanted to have the best beef, the best quality, and to make sure no hormones, no antibiotics, none of that questionable stuff, you understand that in your program, you must control the herd. You understand that, right? You must breed from incredible stock. You must do special things that these calves grow right. So you are turning out to your customers incredible product. This is what we're going to tell you about. Now, the reason I tell you about this is something that is only for the Make Woke Go Broke members. That's it. Only if you are a member of our Make Woke Go Broke. And all you have to do is go to makewokegobroke.click. You've seen it on my program. It's just a simple form. Go fill out the simple form. Put in your name and your email. We're going to give you a phone call. Use your phone call. If you are a member of our makewokegobroke.click, we are going to make sure you get this that you're going to be hearing about today. It's very important you watch as we go through this. So let's talk about meat supply. Let's talk about where our cattle comes from in the United States. And I just want to compare it to a minute. Many of you out there may be participating in stuff. And by the way, I was. I want to let you know, I even did this myself in my own life, participated in programs like Butcher Box. You've probably seen Butcher Box. This is probably the most successful program going on in the United States right now, Butcher Box. You've heard of Omaha Steaks and others. We'll get into it in a minute. But when you read the fine details, you find out that they source their beef from Australia. Folks, part of our program is saving America from socialism. You can't be buying your beef from Australia and end up saving American ranchers, American farmers, and American lives and jobs. It is not a possibility. Now that you saw that little video, you realize when you walk into the Walmarts of the world and you're paying $23 for what may be just about a pound of steak, and you learn to look at it through new eyes, you realize we're not getting a very good product at all. In fact, you realize we're paying super high prices. Or maybe you're doing something like Omaha Steaks. They have some really high-end stuff. Let's look at Omaha Steaks. And yeah, here is their prime aged. But when you look at the math, you realize you get 4 steaks for basically $500. That's $125 a steak, folks. And in most houses, you're not going to take that one ribeye and divide it up amongst 4 people. It's just not going to happen. So a lot of those do not make sense at all. But the goal here is to help America, American jobs, American families, save America from socialism, and be an American family-owned, controlled business that has nothing to do with the system. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to give you a story. And what we're going to be talking about is Riverbend Meats, which is part of our program with Make Woke Go Broke. Now imagine, I want to give you the ultimate. If we were going to do the premiere of what's going to happen in meats, what we need to control to make it right is we need to control that beef from start to finish. Right now, you know, multiple farms, they truck them in, and then they go to a meat processing plant, they're cut up, they're packaged, boom, there they go. You want to make sure you get the best beef possible. Now, what that includes is if you control it from beginning to end. Remember I told you you could go buy a cow, you could buy a heifer, you could buy one what's called heavy bred. If you've ever been to an auction, you can get a cow who's already bred. But do you know anything about the history? Think about this. In our program, when you go to makewokeGoBroke.click, and it's specifically only for, I want to make sure you understand this. This is one of the benefits of being a member with us at MakeWokeGoBroke.click, where we're fighting this war one shopper at a time because we have to save our country, folks. This is part of saving our country. It's now moving from your consumable products into your regular food supply because it's got to be controlled. So now remember, what if I told you the herd that now can supply beef, that's what this is about, has been bred exclusively to get the right cows, the right beef, never using antibiotics, never using hormones or any of that junk. 30 generations deep. You heard me, almost 30 generations back. Yeah, you could go to your local ag barn. You could even go to your local 4-H. You could buy a steer. Do you know anything about that steer? But imagine if you could go back in time almost 30 years in that beef's life cycle. And you know, starting right then, no hormones, no antibiotics, and fed the right, well, type of feed, type of grass, and raised in pristine conditions to give you the best possible beef with none of the tainting and none of the stuff that this industry's selling us as our beef. That is what's going on and what we're doing at Make Woke Go Broke in our program. See, over the past 27 years, the company has invested millions and millions and millions of dollars selecting absolutely the right black Angus cows. These individual Angus cows are bred to be flavorful and tenderness. This is all about genetics. All about genetics. Now, the company already has a herd. We're going to get more about the pasture and how they're raised, of over 62,000 heads of cattle, closely controlled, that range on over 200,000 acres of land. What's happened is the company in this project that has taken almost 30 years to bring to you, because thank God people had their head in the game and realized our food supply is one of the ways we get attacked in America. And that if we don't control it, not only does our food supply get lessened and dangerous, but if you have a government that wants to force things on you, vaccines, et cetera, that the government can start manipulating things. So the company decided to control its destiny from birth on. The company has built a 210,000 square foot facility located right on the ranch with the cattle. Now we're talking well over 200,000 acres of ranch land, done to the most impeccable standards you can imagine. And then the facility has almost over 750,000 cubic foot refrigeration process. Remember in the video, which I'll replay in a minute, that explains the more it's aged, that aging process. See, the food you're buying in the store not only is very limited, it's not aged at all. It's the age in that steak, besides genetics and everything else, that add to the quality. This is a company that doesn't rush things. When you control your herd for almost 30 years, you're not rushing things, but you're not getting that restaurant quality prime, right? Choice, high choice prime, any of that. You're not getting it aged. Imagine if all your beef came that way, because automatically, as part of the process of the company, it's aged. If you've just joined the program, we're talking about beef and our beef supply. Let me just kind of remind you the different cuts of meats real quick education.
There are 8 grades of beef designated by the USDA, and there's one common factor that determines grade quality: the amount of marbling in the meat. Simply stated, the more marbling, the higher the grade. The 3 lowest grades are utility, cutter, and canner. These grades may be completely devoid of marbling and often come from older animals. They're typically reserved for making products like hot dogs and other processed meats. You'll never find meat in a supermarket labeled as utility, cutter, or canner grades because they're not palatable as straight cuts. The next grades are USDA Standard and USDA Commercial. Standard and commercial grades have no marbling and are considerably less tender than higher grades. When sold in the retail market, they typically go ungraded or are labeled under the store brand name and sold at very low prices. These grades are only suitable for stew and slow cooker recipes that will make them less tough. You would never consider grilling or frying these grades because it would result in dry, tough, hard-to-eat meat. You'd lose a lot of friends serving this at a barbecue. Next is USDA Select. Select beef is widely available in the retail market, but it is almost never labeled as USDA Select. USDA Select has slight marbling, but not much. It's a much leaner grade than USDA Choice and tends to be less tender and less juicy with less flavor. You wouldn't want to grill or fry this meat as it would be much too dry. You can cook USDA Select meats with moist heat methods like stewing, steaming, and poaching, or using a slow cooker. This helps break down tough fibers that are usually present in meat that has been graded Select. If you purchase meat at a grocery store and it has no grade designation, it's most likely USDA Select. If it were a higher grade of meat, say USDA Choice, the grocery store would proudly label it as USDA Choice. Speaking of USDA Choice accounts for roughly 50% of all graded beef. USDA Choice costs more, but is widely available to consumers in supermarkets and restaurants. If beef has been graded USDA Choice, the words USDA Choice will almost always appear on the label. Choice has a good amount of marbling, although less than USDA Prime. It can be cooked with almost any cooking method. You can typically grill, fry, roast, or bake this beef, as well as stew it or braise it without causing excessive dryness. USDA Choice is an excellent economic alternative to the next and highest grade of meat, USDA Prime, because USDA Prime can be quite expensive. It's also important to note that USDA Choice can be divided into two subgrades, Low Choice and High Choice. High Choice has the most marbling and is very close to the quality of USDA Prime in flavor and tenderness. USDA Prime is the highest grade of beef because it has the most marbling. There's simply nothing better. Beef that grades USDA Prime is very tender, very juicy, and full of flavor. USDA Prime is also very rare. Only about 9% of all graded beef will grade Prime. That's why it is very expensive. USDA Prime is usually reserved for high-end dining establishments. A USDA Prime steak at a fine restaurant in New York City, Chicago, or Los Angeles will cost between $85 to $95 a pound. People who can afford it will gladly pay that for a prime steak. That's because its exquisite tenderness and juicy flavor make it an absolutely delightful eating experience. But because USDA Prime is so rare and so expensive, many people have never tasted a USDA Prime steak. In summary, quality is all about marbling. The higher the percentage of marbling, the higher the grade, because it's marbling that produces tenderness, juiciness, and the most flavor.
Here's what most people do not know, especially if you've never had one of those incredible, high-end restaurant steaks. Number one, even those high-end restaurant steaks nowadays are loaded with antibiotics, hormones, all kinds of potentially questionable vaccines. In any animal in nature, human as well, these toxins that are added into the body tend to collect in the fatty tissues. Now you can understand, even if you're getting high-end restaurant meat, have you ever thought about what you're consuming in the way of hormones, antibiotics, or etc. in that meat? Now, what if you, in fact, could have something that was incredibly controlled, getting that high choice, getting prime, but doing it at a rate that is better than anything else you're finding in the market? That's what we're talking about today. This is something that's exclusively for our MakeWokeGoBroke.click members. MakeWokeGoBroke.click members. You've got to be a member. It's a buying club. But we're trying to protect America's food supply, and we do know they're already compromising the animals in the American food supply. Here's a few things you need to know. The herd that's able to bring this to you has been controlled for almost 30 years. As I said earlier, it's like 30 generations going back. Additionally, the herd, the Black Angus herd, is specifically meticulously managed for 40 different genetic factors. That means these 62,000 head that are producing this right now have been meticulously managed and culled to make sure they have the best genetic factors for health, flavor, and the tenderness of our beef. It's like being a highly tuned athlete. Some of these individual cows can go for $500,000. These are priceless cattle that have been controlled. Now, over the past 27 years for these cattle and investing in the proper genetics, it is now going in one complete operation. That complete operation is controlling these cattle raised the best way they can, combining as well the commitment to the land. And that's very key. Now, here's what you need to understand about their beef you're buying right now. As we get into this factory food with beef, and now you find out you're literally paying for junk beef, these mothers have their calves, and as soon as that calf can be weaned and split off into pens, fed, primarily antibiotics and other stuff, they're run into the factory system. Now imagine in our system that these calves are born right on the ranch. We're talking over 250,000 acres of land, which I'll get into a little bit more, all in the high mountains, all natural. The cows are born in the spring, and they stay with their mothers from the day they are born. They grow up romping the rangeland, and they spend their second year with them, too, on the high rangeland, high and mountain meadows. This is how animal husbandry should be done. Never using antibiotics, never using growth hormone, and making sure it's the most incredible genetics that you can imagine. And oh, by the way, if you happen to be tuned into the environment, it's about using existing patches of true pasture land. Not a single speck of land has been cleared for this herd. Not at all. It's all true, natural rangelands, found in 5 western states, by the way. When you do that, the grassland with the cattle in it, as you've known this, and the relationship with our soil, it's not depleted because there's continual growth, and the cattle in their processes are not only stimulating incredible grass growth back, but as that grass growth, you ever heard about this? It pulls the carbon from the atmosphere and stores it exactly in the ground where it should be stored. And when you graze in these lands, it helps produce an environment where wildfires are tremendously reduced. All of this goes into the commitment to the land and the commitment to animal stewardship. The actual animals were raised with their mothers. Remember, when you have that calf that is raised with their mother and is with them for that 2 years as the calf's growing and in the high pasture lands, there is no need for antibiotics. There is no need for growth hormones. See, they've got to inject it with growth hormones when they take the animal away from the way nature and God intended. And we know in these cattle, mother's milk is what is intended, that God naturally made to keep these animals healthy. It's only when man started tinkering with them, trying to churn out meat faster, that our food supplied became reduced. Let me show you some of the numbers, but before I show you this, I want to remind you, this is only for our members of MakeWokeGoBroke.click. By the way, we have, and the whole organization that we're under, have over 2 million users now. This is the way that we take back our lives from the woke system, because it is the woke system that contributes to these ideologies that are murdering our American way of life.
Your purchases are murdering America. Most people swear they love America, yet
They are killing America one shopping cart at a time. 4 woke megafunds control $22 trillion, and they pushed all the brands into just 11 companies. Let's just look at lotions, hand cream, soaps, and detergents. When you spend your money and you go shopping here, that money goes right out the door, and as it's distributed and broken apart, it goes into that dark, ugly, icky funnel of money that funnels to impacting America negatively. Your money funds Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, Antifa, the trans agenda. You have to make a choice to save America, folks. Make woke go broke. Click will teach you. Quit pumping your money into these woke companies. You have to choose to save America. Do it now. Go to makewokeGoBroke.click. MakewokeGoBroke.click. Do it now. That same commitment now goes to the beef operation that is now being offered to you. I want to show you some comparisons. I want to just really stress to you, it's very important. It is so critically important that you understand this is a complete operation. It's at 290,000 acres, pristine farms, farmland, ranch land, high elevations, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming. We even got about 13,000 acres in Hawaii. Not only does the operation raise the cattle, but the farming operation also raises any feeds that go with it for a natural feed and for natural grass. Did you know what you're missing in this? You ever really looked into grass-fed? Most people have no idea some of the things that are approved for being categorized as grass-fed or grass-finished. But they can feed the cows soybean oil, distillery byproducts. How about maple syrup or molasses? Yeah, sugars. This is the underneath that you might not have known, where the system, in trying to solve these issues, realized that people were really disappointed with grass-fed because there is no flavor. Because it is an inferior product. It all goes into the breeding. It's the breeding that makes the difference, not just the finishing. And we're not talking about only letting these things free range for a while. We're talking they live their life this way. So let's take a look at this industry. Many of you have probably heard of some of these organizations where you can order your meat, and that's what we're talking about, folks. By the way, we're talking about you order it, you place your order, it automatically gets shipped to you. Let's look at some of these organizations. Let's look at Butcher Box first. Is it prime or high choice? No, it's not. Now, they also do sell never hormones or never antibiotics in current herd. But as I told you, their herd, the herd that you're actually investing in, is in Australia. Folks, this is about American-made, American jobs, American families, and American family-owned. If we were to go down this list, if you were to look at our packages that we're doing in this, you will find the ribeye bundle is about $146 for that ribeye and bundle from us. Now, if we were to look at the Butcher Box standard, it's not U.S. raised, it is not U.S. processed, and it's not vertically integrated. Again, what's vertically integrated? That means it's not only the cattle, it's controlling the land, it's growing the feedstock that you may or may not use mixed with it, and the grasslands, and doing it sustainably. These cattle have not been subjected to crap ever in their genetic history, or their ancestors almost 30 generations back. That's key. Butcher Box are looking at their basic program. And by the way, I tried this out myself. The beef was very disappointing because when you look at it compared to the two, well, you can tell very quick it's just not the same product of what we're doing at Riverbend Ranch Black Label. There is a difference in these foods, folks, a complete difference in these foods. The goal here is to bring you the best possible, the safest possible, the most genetically pure there is as close to the prices as you're getting in the stores right now and cutting the woke stores out of the process. And that's why the ranch is fully integrated to the herd, to the land, to the raising of any of the grains or grasses on the ranch. All natural, no antibiotics, no hormones, none of that stuff. And then right there on the land is a 210,000-foot, state-of-the-art, complete, sustainable, incredible facility to process this, but everything's aged for 21 days. You don't get that in your stores, folks. You don't know where it comes from. You don't know the history of the meat. But also to age it like it's fine for restaurants is being done for you, so you get restaurant quality. Nobody does that. Let's look at Omaha steaks. You can't look at Omaha steaks. No, it's not prime or high choice for their basic box. They don't even care about hormones or antibiotics. Yes, they'll use U.S. raised beef, and they'll process in the U.S., but it's not vertically integrated. Not at all. Now, they can have a fine product if you want to buy the higher-end version of the product that is aged for $125 a steak. That's your choice. We don't think that's what fits with families in America, which is why we have to bring you a great program. There's many others. You could look at Kansas City Steak Company. Theirs is $291 a month. You could look at Chicago Steak Company. It's another one that's out there. And Chicago Steak Company, their average is $340 a month. But when you look at it, yeah, you could get a ribeye, exactly 2 of them, 2 steaks, the smallest steak, 2 steaks, 2 steaks, for basically $140 a month. Why would you not get what we're doing? The average size is about 10 pounds of our fantastic Riverbend Black Label Angus beef. We're trying to make a difference, folks. This is about us taking back control of our own lives. Many of you cannot raise your own animals, and you certainly can't go back in time and genetically breed for it to make sure it's never had antibiotics or it's never had hormones. Again, I truly believe, there's a part of me that believes that our food supply is what has contributed to this transgender mess we have in the United States of America. Folks, all I'm offering you to do is you should go to makewokegobroke.click. If you haven't done it, fill out the simple form. The reason is this is only for our members. It's that simple. It's only for our members. But remember, we're about the parallel economy. We're just about shifting. You're going to spend the money anyway on these things. You just need to shift it to family-owned, American-made, American-controlled, by families, American jobs. But when it comes to your food, and this time when they're attacking our food supply, doesn't it make sense to you? Okay, great. You can be great about grass and pasture-fed. We go over and above. It's not just grass-fed. That calf's with its mothers for this first 2 years, doing the way God intended it. No antibiotics. And if, by fact, one of the cattle, one of the herd does get sick, they will get treated with antibiotics and cycled right back out of the herd and sold. They'll never come to you. It's never been there for 30 generations. The idea is to completely transform the industry. Completely transform the industry by making sure you're the one, not the restaurant, you're the one that gets prime or high choice. It's never had hormones. It's never had antibiotics. It is U.S. raised, U.S. jobs, U.S. family owned. It is USA processed right there on the ranch. It's fully integrated. That is what's key. And for what people pay to have steaks delivered, it is a ridiculously amazing, fantastic price with many, many different packages. The company has packages like it might be the New York strip steak and bundles. It might be the ground beef bundle that's best for you. It might be the filet and sirloin bundle. It might be the ribeye bundle. That's the one I get. It might be the essentials bundle. Or you can even get the smoker's bundle if you're a smoker. But you notice what you don't see in these photographs of the different bundles that the company has for you, designed for you and your lifestyle, and you can pick and match. There's no hot dogs added to it. There's no chicken nuggets. All that other junk and desserts and fillers you get are just an illusion to make you believe you're getting a great deal. No, it's just a bunch of junk thrown at you. The idea here, folks, is it's time for you and your family to thrive. It's time for you to be the concern. Look, we thrived under Donald J. Trump. You know it and I know it. Somebody who cared about America first did something and our whole world changed. This is all America first. You don't get any more America first than this. And it's about making sure that being an American, supporting American companies and American families, American jobs, gives you the best product possible. That is why we brought MakeWokeGoBroke.click to you. I care about you. I care about your family. But remember, this is only for those of you that are members of MakeWokeGoBroke.click. When you fill out the form, you're going to see a little check spot right there for the video where you'll see me. My team's going to call you, but you see that little square check mark? It says, I'm also interested in learning more about working with Make Woke Go Broke and how together we can make a difference. If you're willing to help out in our program, if you've got a few hours a month to help us out, all of this that I've just showed you might actually be up net zero for you, might be free. Because we're willing to help profit share the prosperity with you. If you're willing to talk to other Americans to help them understand that we've got to fight this fight, we've got to make the woke go broke, and you're willing to take that one click, it can also financially benefit you by just simply referring us to others, by helping us fight this war. So in the end, it could completely, pay for you to have that prime steak that you love, that your friends will be the envy of, that you will be the grill master king in your neighborhood. There's so much we're doing, folks, to bless patriots and to bless you. You know our country seems to have turned against us. You know America's suffering. There is no need for you to suffer. We have a plan to exit from this woke culture. If you're willing to help the woke, you're willing to make them go broke and help us do it, we have an exit plan, folks. I encourage you, fill it out, hear it out. You're going to get a phone call. Imagine that. A real live person's going to call you. This is just one of the incredible benefits that we bring you to make sure that we are taking care of each other, that we are taking care of our nation, and that we truly are investing in American values, American family, American jobs, the American way of life, which is disappearing. I hope, folks, I truly hope, there'll be more I'll bring to you on this, but I truly hope you pay attention. Because if not now, when? And if not you, who? And if not for your children and grandchildren, we've got to fix it if we even want them to have a country, folks. Check us out. MakeWokeGoBroke.click. Because it's about time, folks. We're all about you. Just how far is too far, folks? Is it when they show up your door with weapons? Open your eyes, folks. Look, they're burning our cities. They're poisoning our water supplies. They're even poisoning our bodies. Is this a coincidence or is it planned? Thousands of cattle just dropped dead. Tens of millions of chickens in our food supply just need to be destroyed. Is it a coincidence or is it planned? Millions of illegals invading our borders? Is it a coincidence or is it planned? This is what passes for a teacher. This is what passes for global news. Wait a minute, read that. Transgender woman posts sobbing selfie in JFK bathroom after claiming female TS agent punched her testicles and made her hurt. What the frick, folks? This is what passes for a world leader. This is what passes for brave lawmakers. This is a grade school classroom. Is it a coincidence or planned? These are somebody's children. This is what they're doing to our children. This is the plan for our future. Folks, what in the hell are you waiting on? You either raise a finger to save our country, or you might as well give our country the finger. It's as simple as a click. Do it and activate now.
Most people are afraid to stand up and speak out, but not you. Most people are afraid to stand up and speak out, but not you. You've been learning how to tell the system to cut the crap. What can I do to help save the America I love? And the answer is learn how to fight back and tell the system to cut the crap. Cut the Crap's not just a radio program, it's a movement. The right kind of movement, which breaks free the conservative constipation and reminds you that you are the majority, and we're just not going to take it anymore. Make sure you're following JovanHuttonPulitzer on all social media. See you next week, and between now and then, take a stand and tell them all to cut the crap.
260 million of you shop here weekly. And did you